What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's the main man Jaguar coming out with another video. And today we are going to be doing a complete review on Swamp Thing. I'm going to be showing you guys the book, but I'm also going to be telling you guys about the story, some of the stuff that I loved about this book, and some of the stuff that I really didn't like. So it's going to be a complete review of Swamp Thing New 52 by Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. So y'all stick around. All right, y'all. So this is the Swamp Thing Omnibus. Scott Snyder, Yannick Paquette, Jesus Saiz. Also, Javier Pina did some of it, but for some reason, Charles Soule is not. His name is not on there. So that's what the spine cover looks like. I dig the spine. I like this. All right. So a lot of people were complaining about the spine, about how it's kind of regular, but I kind of dig it because it kind of matches the Deathstroke New 52 Omnibus. And I think it gives it a nice clean look on the shelf. I know some people would have probably preferred for it to be the same font, but I think that would have kind of looked a little tacky on the shelf. This collects the entire New 52 run, which is 1 through 40, and it also includes 23.1, the annuals, 1, 2, 3 futures, and Animal Man 12, 17, and Aquaman 31, which I think is pretty important to include in here. Let's take the dust cover off. Alright, so that's what the book looks like. Spine, back end. Alright. Crack it open. That's pretty cool. New 52. Alright, so do you need to read Alan Moore to read this one? No, you don't. This start off with his own story. I know every Swamp Thing is going to be compared with Alan Moore, but that's not necessary. Abigail, I think she's a pretty cool character in here. She's actually got some powers that they do not have, that she did not have before. She actually controls the rot and everything. If Alan Moore's was a different kind of horror, it's kind of like an old school horror where it like builds up tension and stuff. But Scott Snyder's horror, it's kind of more like a zombie movie. It's more like Dead Space or something, 30 Days of Night, or I don't know what it is, the ones where it's just overwhelming zombies and just a lot of grotesque stuff going on, a lot of deformed bodies with the rot. It also expands the world, kind of like the way you had with the Green Lanterns, where you had the different color spectrums. Well, here you also have different types of kingdoms of life. Here's a homage cover to Swamp Thing number 10. So Scott Snyder does also Rot World, which also crosses over with Animal Man. As speaking of that right here, Animal Man is actually pretty cool, man. I'll dig it. And Rot World was pretty big. Yeah, like you can tell that was kind of a movie type deal. Really enjoyed it. The main bad guy was Anton Arcane, who I think is a pretty sick dude. Poison Ivy makes an appearance. Dead Man. This is kind of like in a world where everything's gone to rot, which is pretty much all what Anton Arcane really wants. He wants to rot the world. The art is pretty consistent throughout. Even when they switch over to Jesus Saiz and Pina, the art still has that same vibrancy. I'm not really sure if they have the same colorists or not, but. And this right here is more of the Charles Soule stuff. So this stuff right here, I think this was the weakest story, the Scarecrow Superman stuff. I really wasn't feeling this first arc very much. There's this new character, she's like French or something. I don't know, I didn't really like her. I liked her ending overall. I also didn't like the way John Constantine was portrayed here in this first arc. I didn't think he was used in a John Constantine manner the way he normally is. But overall, I think it's once it starts picking up, it's when we start having like a war between the Green, the Parliament of the Green. We get to meet the more characters within the Green. One is the Wolf, who's kind of like this old school dude from like colonial times, who's very like witty, but he's kind of dangerous. You know, he's very political. He's always making moves. I think a cooler character we see in here is Lady Weeds. Lady Weeds is actually kind of cool, man. She's very dangerous and she's very upfront about it. I actually have her picked up her first appearance today, which was in annual number 2. So just a heads up on that. I think if I see her in here, I'll point her out. But Lady Weeds is pretty cool, man. Like, oh, there she is right there. She later on turns out to be like one of the major villains and stuff. And yeah, very dangerous character. She's kind of reminds me of like Poison Ivy, except her purpose is not to defend the green. Her, like, what she wants more is to take over. She wants power. She craves power. And overall, I think the ending, it had a kind of its ups and downs. Like, it had like some things where I was like, WTF, what the heck is this? Why are they doing this? But overall, it looks like Charles Soule ends up always bringing it back in. I really like the fact that they added in more kingdoms. For example, the Gray, who represents the fungus kingdom, and then they also add the divided kingdom, which we don't really see in here, which is the kingdom of bacteria, microbial life. I'm assuming viruses would probably fall in there as well. Also, we see the Red doesn't really go into this all-out war that ends up happening towards the end. But before we get there, the Aquaman crossover was pretty sweet. I really digged it. The two guys going at each other. It was very creative the way they used Swamp Thing and Aquaman, how they battled each other. They kind of visit each other in each other's dominion and kind of like get creative with their ways of fighting. There's some body swapping going on that kind of gets old. But overall, man, this is probably like one of the biggest concepts from Charles Soule was like that Swamp Thing really wanted to separate himself from the responsibility of the green. He knew he had to do it, but he wished that he was more like a superhero, like a Superman. He wished that, you know, he didn't have to take care of the green. Instead, that he could just do his own thing, like most superheroes. That's what I say. All those things are like Batman. Batman's probably the most famous for like being able to separate himself from responsibility. Also, Etrigan makes an appearance, and I think it's a very good appearance as well. The art in here overall is very, very delightful. I really enjoyed it from the beginning to end. It's very good. The machines, I wasn't really a big fan of him, but I digged it. I like when they brought in their own avatar, and that was kind of cool. What they did with the reanimated body of Alec, that was kind of weird to me, man, but whatever, it worked. The ending overall, some parts were like, I was like, what the heck is this? But overall, I think it was a very satisfying ending, and it did feel like it had some kind of finality to it. So overall, I enjoyed it. I give this, I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5. Boom, I think it was a good read. I really enjoyed it. The weakest parts were right between the transition of Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. I still think that the best part of this book was Rot World, and I think the second arc of Charles Soule's, where we explore the green more. Those were probably the two best arcs in here. But overall, all the other arcs, that's not saying the other arcs were bad. The only weak one, I think, was the Superman, Metropolis, Scarecrow stuff. But overall, man, this is a great addition to the collection for Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing. If you're a Swamp Thing fan, recommend this. If you enjoyed this, I would also recommend reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing if you haven't already. I also recommend, I would actually recommend New 52, Animal Man by Jeff Lemire. I think that would go right into this. And also Aquaman, New 52, because a lot of the New 52 stories are kind of told in a similar story and the similar art. So, alright, so that's it for the review for the Swamp Thing Omnibus New 52 by Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. For those of you who have read this already, let me know what you guys think. What would you guys rate this book in your collection? And yeah, man, with that being said, man, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and you guys stay up. All right, peace.